Hello and welcome to Conversations Need to Be Had. I am your host Chantel Gabriella Jazz, and I am joined by Demetrius today. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we're going to be having a conversation. So I wanted to ask you, how did you get into digital marketing?
Well, I didn't actually know what I wanted to do when I was younger. I I basically trained as a ballet dancer up until I was about 21.
What? I never knew this.
Yeah, I was a fully trained ballet dancer from like 5 to 21.
Wow.
And I did my degree in English literature,
Mhm.
and I did an art foundation as well because I knew I wanted to do something creative.
Mhm.
I loved reading, I loved writing, and even while I was dancing, I was like going to theatre classes, going to dance classes, doing bits of photography, doing bits of like videography as well, just working in really like creative spaces.
Mhm.
And then it wasn't until I was like, right, okay, I'm gonna stop the dancing and kind of get into some proper like full-time work. I was like,
Mhm.
what do I want to do? It's like,
Why did you stop dancing though?
well, to be fair, back then there wasn't a lot of opportunities for dancers in general, let alone black dancers.
Mm.
And to be honest, I wasn't going to be sitting there fighting for scraps.
Mhm.
And I think I got to about 20, 21. I just got back from doing a summer tour with a dance company up and
Mhm.
down the country.
Mhm.
And I was going to uh, a rehearsal, and I was looking for like another like kind of like a dance teacher that could like help me like weekly on different specialities. And she said basically, if this isn't what you want to do like for life, like don't come to these classes. I
Oh
kind of like
wow.
sat and had a think, and I was like, do I actually want to do it? I was like, no, no, I don't want to be fighting for scraps. And lo and behold, a lot of my like friends from back then, it's been a hard time. I mean, it's a little bit easier now. We've got things like black ballet,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, like in the 2000s, it was like really hard. So
Mm.
um, I knew I wanted to be creative, so I was like, right, I want to get into writing. So
Mhm.
like one of my first jobs was working at legal publishers,
Mhm.
working in the editorial department,
Okay.
and that was interesting,
Mm.
to say the least. But yeah, I kind of like got into like writing from there, then moved into an editorial role at Condé Nast,
Okay.
basically working for a an editor.
Mhm.
But I was also their PA as well, so I was their PA, but also writing and updating pieces for the Vogue website.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And then from there, I went into retail, so like e-commerce, like fashion retail,
Mhm.
and I started working in the marketing teams there, the digital marketing teams there. So I kind of got to use
Oh.
a bit of my creative like flair, but
Mhm.
also like the analytics of digital marketing as well. And
Mhm.
I kind of like found like I kind of found like my place there, kind of like a little bit of creativity, but a little bit of analytical as well.
Mm.
And then I kind of like went from fashion brand to fashion brand, and then now I work at an agency. So now
Okay.
I work at an agency that works for other brands as well.
Mhm. And you're still doing
Um,
your freelancing as well.
yeah, so I my main job is digital marketing, but I mainly focus in content marketing. So
Uh-huh.
writing blogs, articles, white papers, producing video pieces to just kind of drive traffic back to our website.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then freelance, I just do freelance copywriting. So um, writing copy for websites, blogs, articles, SEO copywriting, that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
the hope is to kind of do that full time. But
Mhm.
2020 has really messed up any
Yeah.
plans of like.
How has 2020 been treating you? How have you actually been?
Do you know what? Looking back, it's been a bit of a struggle. because with the pandemic, like being indoors all the time because of quarantine, it really did do a number on my mental health. I'm not going to be honest, and I suffer from social anxiety, so
Okay.
sometimes even going to work in the office, there's a lot of preparation that goes into like getting out of bed and getting dressed and like getting out of the house. So there was me thinking, oh, quarantine's going to be fine, you know, I'm just going to be like on the computer working, etc., etc. And I'm realizing, no, actually, I need to be outside. I need to, even though being around people can be a bit emotionally draining, I actually need it. And it's funny because it was up until maybe like last year I started getting a lot more confident about just going out and meeting people, and I'm being in public places where there's lots of people.
Okay.
And especially working with like Black Canvas and getting to meet new people, and like it's been really great, and it's been doing really good work for my my social anxiety. And then COVID happens, and all of the work that I've been putting in 2019, kind of
Exactly.
getting out
Oh.
there, networking, meeting new people, like where I'm at in copywriting, I wanted to be a lot further ahead where I am in terms of freelance work, and I was doing a lot of networking and getting more into video production as well in 2019, and all of that work's kind of just been like put on hold. So all of that
Yeah.
culminating with like quarantine and just not being able to go out, and obviously I've got asthma as well,
Oh,
so
okay.
so having to like quarantine a lot longer than most people, I'm still kind of like anxious about going on transport. So it's been it's been it's been tough, but I go to therapy, so I'm allowed to kind of like have that space to kind of like talk about my feelings, talk about what's going on, and just small things like going outside and going to the park and like taking my shoes and socks off and actually like touching the ground and having contact with the ground. Just all of that helps. All the little things really really help. So like now it's not that bad for me now, but I think all in all, like 2020 has been like about shadow work as well.
Because you
Because
even said it about, you know, it's the little things like you know, going out and having that connection with nature. And it is, I feel like 2020 has kind of made us go back to the basics of what truly matters to us. What are we investing our time into,
exactly,
you
and
know?
I think for me, like I've been kind of been doing that work over the last couple of years. Like I've been doing like for the last, I'd say, 4 years, I've been kind of really invested in minimalism in general, particularly digital minimalism.
Okay.
Just having that reconnection back to spirit and reconnecting back to self, and doing a lot of shadow work, coming back to stillness, like over the last 4 years in different degrees. And I think having that groundwork has kind of allowed me to deal with 2020 a lot better than I thought I would have. But now I'm kind of doing that shadow work very intensely now, because I've got the time. Even now that I'm back to work.
Yeah.
So I was on furlough so I was working from home from March, obviously, till now.
Yeah.
But then I was on furlough from May until the 1st of September. So I was
Wow.
literally not working for like over 3 months.
Wow.
And now I'm back to work, but I'm only back to work 2 days a week. So even now, I've still got time. I've still got time to work on myself. And it was only the last couple of weeks actually that I realized that 2020 has just been about shadow work for me. And I've just succumbed to the fact that the rest of 2020 is just going to be about that. So even though it's not been a great year for me in terms of like my mental state, I can take from it that I've been able to work on so many different things in terms of like my mental well-being, working and speaking and interacting with people from a space of love and abundance, rather than like lack,
Mm, mm,
it's actually worked for my benefit,
mhm,
and
mhm,
I've had like literally the time to actually work on it. So
mhm,
as much as it's not really gone well for me,
mhm,
it actually has, in
mhm,
terms of like doing a lot of reflecting.
mhm.
And it's a lot, and these are the things that a lot of us either don't pay attention to or haven't got the time to pay attention to.
Exactly.
So
Haven't got the time a lot of the time because we're giving our time away. We've got to be
exactly.
here. We've got to be there. With and the next minute, it's the next day.
Exactly.
So it's
And,
like in this time we cannot avoid ourselves.
and I think that's what is doing people at the moment, because like earlier on during the quarantine, everything was like, oh, if you don't produce this by this amount of time because of quarantine, then you're a failure.
Yeah. Oh
You
my
need
God. Yeah.
you need to produce like all of your YouTube videos every week. You need to be doing
Mhm.
podcasts. If you haven't
Mhm.
learned a skill, then you're a failure. And it's like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
no,
That was getting on my nerves because I'm thinking, hold on a second. All of our lives have just been put on hold. We're all going through it, and now you're telling us that we should be doing the most. I mean, we
yeah,
need to just breathe. We need to just
exactly,
center ourselves and get a grip to what is actually
exactly.
happening.
It's just crazy, and it's like, for me, if you haven't finished 2020 without having a good idea of who you are
Yeah.
as a person,
Yeah.
then I don't know what you've been doing with 2020.
Click, 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 click.
Because it's all good that you've like produced like 100 podcast episodes, you've produced like a YouTube video every day because
Mm.
you're at home every day. But if you can't sit in a room in silence for an hour and just be in your own thoughts,
Oh my God, yes.
do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Like me, like I can
I
literally
love
sit
it.
at home all day,
Yeah.
not put the TV on, not look at my phone, not look at the computer.
Mm,
I can sit and read all day. I can, like, in the
mm,
mornings now, I just sit and look at the ceiling and I just think.
mm.
And I've realized that some of the best ideas come from even when I'm in a dream state, so
Yeah.
when I'm asleep,
Mhm.
or that moment before I go to sleep or when I wake up. And
Mhm.
it's usually when I'm just like in stillness, just resting, relaxing,
Mhm.
unwinding,
Mhm.
literally before I go to bed or when I wake up.
Mhm.
And I've really begun even before quarantine, but I really cherish those moments of stillness where I'm
Mm.
just on my own and there's no noise, no like digital distractions, no electronic
Mm.
distractions,
Mm.
and the only thing I reach to is like a pen and my notebook, or
Mm.
an actual book.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Like those are the moments that I've really cherished through 2020.
Wow. That just sounds like you really have gone back to center and you've rooted yourself because it's
Yeah,
it's that simplicity I feel that we've lost because of these electronical things that we use on social media and all of that, and we've lost that sense of serenity. You know what I mean? With ourselves, with our being, we're
mm,
so distracted by these things that what you've just said, a lot of people wouldn't even be able to relate to. But as an artist, I would always get those moments of stillness, like when I'm falling asleep or whatever, where all of a sudden this whole song and all these lyrics, I'm like, oh my God. But you're like, should I
exactly.
get up and write it or should I go to sleep? But it's
Yeah.
when you're in the midst of the ether, when you're hearing the physical, but it's that balanced period, like it just all comes so effortlessly,
It
you
does, it
know.
does. And like the closer to stillness I am, the better
Mm.
my connection to spirit.
Mhm.
I mean, I've like we've all got that connection to spirit, but
Yeah.
I think probably when my late 20s, my early 30s, no, my late 20s, that kind of my realization to the connection of spirit kind of like reawoke. And
Mm.
ever since then, I've just been like paying attention to it, nurturing it, feeding it, listening to it. And
Mm.
it's the last, I would say, 2 years, especially now, where I've had the time where like my connection to spirit is just so, it's just so on point. Like I'm tapped in, and it's
Mm.
those moments in stillness where either I'm not doing anything during the day I'm not being distracted by Netflix on my phone, or when I'm asleep, or those moments before and after I sleep. Those are the real, those are the times when I speak to God in the morning, and I'm like, oh, I'm awake. It's great. Thank you for
Exactly. Give
like,
thanks.
yeah, like what are my intentions for the day? Am I going to go to the computer and do some work? Am I just going to rest all day? Am I going to go outside? Just kind of like setting some, not like making a list, but you know, what are my intentions for the day? You know, how do I feel right now? What is my mood right now? How am I actually feeling waking up this morning? Yeah, my back hurts, but that's because I've been sleeping in some stupid position for 8 hours. But
you better get up and do some yoga, I'll tell you.
You know what I mean?
That's what I've been doing the past couple of weeks, and it's felt really good just to be able to get back into that sort of routine, because I got massively distracted by doing those sort of practice, because I feel like in the morning it is, I don't really say morning, I usually say, you know, it's the rising, you know.
Yeah, of
but
course.
You know, it's just so important. However you rise is how you're going to carry on in the rest of the day. So it's so important to set your intention and to ask yourself those questions. How am I feeling? What am I going to do today to honor myself and my needs, you know?
Exactly. Because we've all got that connection to spirit. We've all got the tools and talent that we need to get through the day and accomplish what we want. It's just about getting to the space where we're able to tap into it, and a lot of us can't even get to that space, let alone recognize that space exists. So we start looking outside for those tools to kind of get us through the day, or to get us to where we need to go, whether it be I want to change careers and get a new job, or I've got this project but I don't feel like I can do it properly without this tool and that tool, whatever. It's like, just look to your connection to spirit and just ask yourself, like, you've got the tools, you've got the talent, you just need to get up and do it. And I think what I've done the last couple of years is just like surround myself with people that think that way. Surround, like, engaging content that kind of fuels my soul. And surround myself with people and content and things that bring me joy. So that if there are times where I do doubt myself, I've got these things around me to say, do you know what? You've got this, you can do it. And then I tap, and then I think to myself, yeah, I have. And then I tap back into spirit, and spirit is like, I don't know why you are in this place, but you need to get out of this place.
I've had those conversations. I've had that clap back, boy. I've had that clap back.
Spirit is like, I told you yesterday, and you got your hair doing tissues and issues. What did I tell you? So yeah.
Tissues and issues. I'm gonna be used to that, you know. Because me being a water sign, that be my issues and tissues a lot of time. But no, man, no, that should actually be a brand. That's so funny.
But no, yeah, like, we've all got that connection to. I mean, even things like meditative movement, like yoga. Like, I've been doing yoga for the past 3 years, but it's only the past year and a half where I've been really consistent with it. And through that consistency, it's made my connection to spirit, my connection to my body and my breathing, it's just made it even more bigger, more beautiful. I kind of like, I can feel in my body like where certain pain is. And even like yoga, the fact that I eat like plant-based and things like that, I'm kind of like, I tried to eat like whole foods, plant-based diet. So like little to no processed food whatsoever. And just through like eating better and moving better, concentrating on my breathing, meditation, it's just all allowed me to be better in tune with my body and my mind and spirit. It's given me clarity, to be honest. So like now, if I eat something that doesn't agree with me, I know exactly what it is.
Yep.
Or so if like I run regularly as well, I run every other day, and if there is a pain in my legs, rather than it just being a whole area, I can like pinpoint where that pain is, and
Wow.
I can attribute that pain to a certain activity that I've done, because I'm moving a lot more, because I'm eating better,
Mm.
because
Mm.
I'm able to get my mind into a positive space a lot easier now through
Mm.
meditation.
Mm.
I can, when my body says something's wrong, I can literally listen to my body and
Mm.
identify where that pain is or why something's going wrong, and attribute the cause of it.
Mm.
So I know that if I've gone for a run and I've strained myself, I know why my body feels that way. It's because I was running too fast on that kilometer.
Mm-hmm.
Or I know why my stomach feels this way, because I had too much fried food that day. You know, I'm just a
Yeah, I
lot
hear
more
that.
aware and in tune of like
Mm-hmm.
my mind and my body, just
Mm-hmm.
through even small things, just like moving constantly throughout the day, and
Mm.
deep breathing. Just
Mm.
even those two things alone,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like really awakens my intuition and my connection to my body alone.
Mm-hmm. Because they say with yoga, it is meant to, align you with the universe, and we are the universe. So it's like for you to say that what you feel through that, that is what you're meant to feel through that,
Yeah,
and that's such a beautiful thing to hear, that it's working for you, and that you
yeah.
you are the master of your reality. You are in
Mm.
tune with your body, because it is a very difficult thing, even though it shouldn't be, but apparently it just seems to be. It is hard for us to have that awareness of ourselves,
It is
you
really hard,
know.
because society tells us that in order for you to succeed, in order for you to be a better person, in order for you to be beautiful,
Mm.
you need to buy and consume all of these different things, and without them,
Mm.
you're worthless.
Yeah.
So obviously, you go up, you go to work, you sit at a desk, you're not moving all day,
Mhm.
you get back pain. Oh, here are these painkillers. Oh,
Yeah.
this tool that you can use at the gym. Blah, blah. It's like we get sold all of these things, even in beauty. Like I love the beauty industry. I've worked in it before, and like I do freelance copywriting for it, and
Mhm.
I love the fact that like beauty, like it gives people like a way to kind of show up in the world and how they want to present, and
Mhm.
that's great. I love that confidence, etc. I love all of that stuff, but the way that the beauty industry turns that into, oh, you need this, like
Mhm.
you need
Mhm.
this like age defying
Mhm.
serum, you need
Oh my
to
God. Remember
this
when we didn't
skin.
have adverts like that? Remember when that didn't even exist?
Ugh, it's just
Now it's just so common. You
like
can't age. How dare
you're
you
not allowed to,
age?
you're not allowed to age, you're not allowed to have wrinkles,
Mhm.
and obviously because we live in a white supremacist patriarchal society, everything is geared towards women not looking a certain way, so you
Mhm.
need to buy this to be loved, accepted, appreciated by a man, or
Mm.
to be taken
Mm.
seriously at work. It's
Mhm.
like the outside mainstream society tells us that you need to buy all of these things
Mhm.
to be a better person, to be
Mhm.
acceptable, to kind of like
Mhm.
to get success.
Mhm.
When really all the things that we need are here within us.
Mhm.
And this is why, and even capitalism is suffering because of it, because now capitalism is selling our own stuff back to us.
Yeah.
You know, it's selling us vegetarianism and veganism, it's selling us
Mhm.
yoga, it's selling us meditation,
Mhm.
it's selling us burning sage, it's selling us
Mm.
wellness. Like all of these things, like black and brown people have been doing these things from day dot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're
Yep.
selling us spirituality. Like
Yep.
black people have been doing all of these things from day dot, and now because capitalism's suffering, they're like, oh, so like these brown people in India, they've been doing yoga, and they're all fit
Mm.
and they're healthy,
Mm.
and like
Mm.
um, East Asian cultures, they've got this East Asian philosophy about stoicism and
Mm.
thinking really clearly, and meditation. You've got like East African people, they've been eating lentils like all their lives, and they're like, they live to 100. It's like, now they're selling us all of that stuff that we've had in our culture for eons. And it's just like, if we just tapped into everything that we have ourselves, then we wouldn't need to buy into that.
Exactly.
I mean, I think Kalechi on our podcast, Stay Your Mind, she talks about, actually it was a TED talk that she did.
Okay.
And she talks about, we all carry a backpack. And we don't realise
Are we Dora Explorer?
Do you know what I mean? We're Dora Explorer. Like, we've got this backpack. We don't know we've got this backpack, but you know, if you take time to take it off and open it, it's got all the things that we need to flourish and thrive in the world. But you just need to tap into the fact that, I think she also says it as going back to the source, like going back to the source of like God within you. Like everything you have is within you. You just need to find a way to tap into it. Like mainstream society has like told us that you can't tap into anything within us. We need to buy, consume. We need to spend like $7.99 a month on a yoga subscription.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that documentary that was on Netflix? That I watched it yesterday. Basically, it's talking about it's a documentary drama, and it's interviews certain people that were part of Facebook, Google, all of this, and the
social dilemma.
Yeah. Have you seen
I watched it yesterday, actually.
I watched it yesterday as well. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So let's analyse that.
But you know what's funny? All of those people in that documentary, I've seen them say the same thing already, because I've seen them on like the news or other platforms or whatever, talking about all of these things that have happened. But I think the reason why I like this documentary is because it's basically brought everyone into one place. Because I've spoken to other people, and they're like, "Oh my god, I didn't know that." And it's like, but they were on the news like 2 years ago.
Exactly. That's my sister was saying exactly the same. I've never heard of him. I was like, I knew about him years ago. Like, he's a fantastic man. Like, do you get what I mean? But it's the thing that got me was not the information that they was telling me, because I already know. This is, because we're fortunate enough that we lived in a world where this didn't exist. So, and we've seen it gradually grow and expand and change and this and that. So we're not like just fully just been thrown into it. So we can see it kind of for what it is. But it's like, what got to me was the fact that why is Netflix putting it on their platform? Why is it? Because, it's like, they keep giving us these documentaries or whatever that are basically telling us about the truth of what is going on. But no one does anything. So I didn't understand what was the point of them creating it and for it to be on a mainstream platform like Netflix, but no one's actually going to do anything about it, because it's still going to go back on the Instagram, back on the Google. So it is this really hyper-normalization where it's just in our face and we just ignore it because we feel powerless. We can't do
Netflix isn't like the bastion of social justice, is it?
No, it's not.
Netflix they see what's trending. They make content. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, they move on to the next thing. I mean, do you know what I mean? So I'm not really holding Netflix accountable.
I don't feel like I'm holding them accountable for it. I don't know. I just think it's a bit peculiar for them to have that, and for them to be like the main source of people's like entertainment. A lot of people are on Netflix. Do you get what I mean? So it's like, what really is the agenda of that? Like, what is the real agenda for them to have created that?
I think, do you know what? I don't think it's that deep for Netflix. I mean, do you know,
well, it's always deep for me, okay?
I mean, let's be honest. Like, Social Dilemma, it's mainly talking about algorithms. Yeah, it's on a subscription service that uses an algorithm to
this is what
to recommend TV shows and films. I just find it quite ironic. So I don't think it's that deep, but I get where you're coming from. But even if it was on like network TV, even if it was on Channel 4, like, no one's going to do anything about it. I mean, one of the guys there, the guy with the dreadlocks, I think he was like the one of the founders of artificial intelligence.
Yeah. He's
Like
fantastic.
he's amazing, and he was on Channel 4 like 2 or 3 years
Yeah, I
ago.
remember. I
Literally,
watched it.
yeah, literally saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like no one's
He was
even
warning everybody. He was like, get off of it before it's too late and blah, blah. And this was before I think that we even knew what an algorithm was. But Kanye West was talking about algorithms and Facebook and all of that sort of stuff years ago. And then they took the videos down off of YouTube when he was
yeah.
talking about it in his concerts. So it's only the past couple of years that the algorithms, to those that don't really know about tech like that,
Yeah,
it's come out.
yeah, it's only mainstream media are only talking about it in depth over the last like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But like someone like me that I've worked in like digital marketing for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So like I write content so that it ranks for the Google algorithm, and I'm used to Google making updates large scale updates every couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
and then smaller updates every for like 3 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And every time the Google algorithm changes, it tweaks the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
It says for the user, so it's all about the user experience. If the user experience is great, then it will make small tweaks to make the user experience better for the user.
Mm-hmm.
So as a content writer at work, I'm basically ensuring that the work that I'm writing, the videos that I'm producing, they all rank well for the keywords that I want them to rank for.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, then they need to be tweaked in order to work with the algorithm. So I've known about algorithms for ages, and it's one of the reasons why I deleted my Facebook in 2012, because it was just getting a bit too creepy in the sense of like the ads that they were serving me. I could tell that they were getting pieces of information from other sources to serve me ads, and I was like, yeah, I'm not up for that. And then I'm really cautious about the information that I put on the internet, and also the images of me that I put on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why like a lot of people say, oh, why don't you post like selfies and stuff on like Instagram or on Twitter? I'm like, I don't feel the need to put selfies. Like, if you want to put selfies on Instagram of yourself, that's fine. Like, I love it. Like, when I go through my Instagram feed and I see like one of my friends, like her face is beat and she looks amazing, she looks happy, and she's like looking cute today. Like, I love that, and I double tap that. It's fine. But for me, I don't feel the need to put my face out there all the time on such a regular basis, because I know that not only is it just not me, but I know that the internet has all of that information, and I don't know what it's doing with it.
That's the thing.
So like even on Twitter, like I'm quite active on Twitter, but I'm not talking about random things. I'm trying to be really intentional with what I say on Twitter, especially when it comes to when it comes to like marketing, or when it comes to like social justice, or being really critical about certain platforms. Like for me, like when I speak online, I'm working my way to being really intentional. Like when I'm writing a tweet, what am I writing it for? Am I writing it just to say something? Am I writing it because I'm angry? Am I writing it because I'm annoyed at something that I've seen? Like, the internet doesn't need every little bit of my emotion or every little bit of my attention. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is the intention of this tweet? Obviously, like, it's not to like get engagement or retweets or anything. I don't really care. I don't care about that. But like, what is your intention of the tweet? Who are you tweeting to? Like what is the point? And I think this year again, 2020, it's been a year of kind of like stillness and reflection. It's like, what do like, what do I want from this service? Because Twitter is free, yeah, but obviously you are the product. So if I'm going to be the product and you are going to be like serving me ads and looking at all of the things that I'm tweeting and working out a way to serve me better ads, then I need to get something out of this as well. So I'm just being really intentional with what I say online and why I'm saying it, and trying to get some sort of joy out of using social media, because at the moment I'm not getting much joy from it.
Yeah.
On Twitter or Instagram, I'm just not
Really?
finding any joy. But no, not really. And I'm quite a digital minimalist anyway. So the first thing in the morning, like, I don't look at my phone or my computer until like 10, 11 o'clock. When I am working, I'll make sure that I'm at my desk at 9 o'clock, and that's when I'm in contact with like my email or anything. But the first few hours of the day, I wake up, I pull a tarot card for the day. I've got some affirmation cards as well that I pull.
Oh, awesome.
And I just reflect on those with like some water and some green tea. And I just like sit in my study, and I just kind of like set intentions for the day. And I just, for the first like hour and a half, I'm just not really on my phone, on the computer. Like, I've got 2 cats as well, so I just sit and play with my cats.
What's their names?
Missy and Mister.
Oh.
But yeah, I just I try not to engage with like social media on my phone or anything. Like, on my phone, there are no notifications whatsoever apart from WhatsApp.
Okay.
Like, nothing. There's no notifications for anything, so I'm not distracted.
I've only just seen yesterday that you can stop Instagram from sending you notifications. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So I've put it on 8 hours. I'm like, nobody.
And you can do it for every app on your phone as well.
What? Oh, gosh, I have to. Because you know what? Like, hearing you speak, and it's just like, I get it so much, because that's how I used to be. Like, there was points where, you know, once I was in my spiritual journey, like, I took myself away from the phone, like having an Android, and I just had a 3310, and I was just living my life, and it was great. But it's like, through this time, in this period, like, I haven't been having the best of times with my neighbours and things like that. So it's like, for a sense of security, for me to feel like connected, I've been more attached to my phone. And like, you know, because I've had to kind of like block my ears and things, like, my phone is there, so I would reach for it in the morning and stuff. But I know deep down inside how detrimental that is. Just like what I said before, it's so important what we do in the morning. So I'm just trying to work myself back to a place where I'm not depending on you know, technology to provide me something that I actually want in the physical. And you know, that's why I'm just, you know, you've got to deal with your environment, and if the environment is making you behave in a way that you know is not serving you, then you're gonna have to change your fucking environment, you know.
Exactly. It was getting to the point where it was just really ruining my mental health. And I think for me, it tapped into a bit of my social anxiety as well, because I'm very comfortable online because I don't have to be around people.
Yeah.
So it's better. I'm not better at engaging online. I'm actually better at engaging in person. But I just don't have the aggressive anxiety in my head and in my body when I'm online speaking to people. It's actually nice not having that. But I read what's his name? His name's Cal Newport, and he wrote a book called Digital Minimalism. He wrote that last year, I believe, and he basically said what you just said. Like, these tools don't provide you with the connection that you think you have. In fact, they actually make you feel even less connected. And then when you look back, even in the documentary that we talked about before, The Social Dilemma, and they had the graph that looked at how separated we are in terms of politics, and how that graph has
Mm.
gone wider and wider and wider in terms of left and right,
Yeah.
politics wise. That divide has got bigger and bigger as time has gone on.
Mhm.
And it's just one example of how, even though we feel like we're more connected, we're actually a lot less connected than we think
Mm.
we are.
Mhm.
So I think that's a great book that you should read, because he actually asks people not to have a social media break, but to have a total digital break for a month.
Oh gosh.
I
Oh
know,
gosh.
right?
There's a little bit too much.
All
You know what
right.
I mean? Because that's the thing. Is like I would love to do that, but I got things I have to do online.
Exactly. And
So how
there's
can I do that unless I get a little assistant who's an 18-year-old who's on the phone all the time and get them to do it and pay them some money? I don't know.
and again, there needs to be some nuance with this, because
Mm.
obviously digital minimalism anyway, just like with the environment and veganism, all these sort of things, there needs to be nuances in this conversation, because
Mm.
as Black people, we don't have the freedom to just lock off the internet for a month and then not engage with the internet, because
Mm.
it's because of these tools, because of
Mhm.
the internet and social media,
Mhm.
that we've been able to see ourselves reflected,
It's so
um,
true.
create
Yes.
communities online, especially not just as Black people, but as Black women, Black queer people, Black trans people.
Mhm.
Like I've I've seen myself reflected, and
Mhm.
I've felt more part of the community now than I have before, without the internet and without
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
So I understand that for Black people in particular, digital minimalism, there needs to be nuance, there needs to be layers in how we approach it.
Mhm.
So when I did this, I called it the 30-day challenge. Um, I did all of it even though I was working, the only thing that I looked at online was just my work emails,
Mhm.
and I run the social media accounts for my work as well.
Okay.
So those are the only things that I came into contact with,
Mhm.
and I think he says in the book, after 30 days, you kind of bring back small pieces of what kind of like brings you joy, and what things that you actually need. So then you write a
Mm.
list, and you're like, do I need Twitter? Like, was I fine without Twitter?
Mm.
Then I was fine without Twitter, so I don't need Twitter. Like, did
Mhm.
I miss Instagram? Yeah, I missed Instagram because I like posting pictures and
Mm.
do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But I
Mm.
think
Mm.
even saying that, there's nuance to that, especially for Black people,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
a, a lot of us have found opportunities online by being within our communities online than we ever would offline.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
there's there's a I think there's some nuance that a lot of these, like minimalism and digital minimalism, and this whole new wave of like stoicism, like it would be
Mm.
great. I would love to be stoic all the time,
Mhm.
but Black women are dying 5 times more during
Mm.
childbirth
This is
than
it.
white people, so
Yeah.
I don't really have time to be stoic all the time. Do you
Mm.
know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I'm hearing you. You know what I
so,
mean?
so yeah, I've really kind of like committed to like minimalism and digital minimalism, but
Mm.
obviously there's nuance to that. Like, I can't look off Twitter because there's a whole community on Twitter that I'm engaged with, and
Mhm.
I've gotten lots of opportunities because of that. I mean,
Mhm.
the reason why I'm producing with Black Canvas is because of the connections that I made on Twitter.
Okay, and I was just going to ask you about that. How did you get involved with Black Canvas? How did you become the producer?
Um, Well, there's three of us, so there's
Hmm.
three of us working on Black Canvas,
Yeah.
and prior to it launching, I was speaking to one of the producers online,
Hmm.
and then I met her at an event,
Okay.
and I kind of mentioned that I do like digital marketing and marketing, and she was like, "Oh, okay." So then she emailed me about 3 or 4 months later, saying that she needs someone to do the marketing for Black Canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So I came on, worked with the girls on the marketing, and then that producer left. And then by the time we got to filming, when I think I first met you, I was already kind of like heavily involved in producing some of the episodes as well.
Oh, okay.
So by the time we finished that filming day where you first came along, they asked me to come in as a producer.
Oh.
So it was from then on that I was one of the producers for Black Canvas.
I see.
It's been great, and it's been great working with Top A and Tiffany. We're not only kind of like really good on the business side, we work really well together on the business side, but we've actually developed a really good friendship.
I would have thought that you guys knew each other for years.
No, we have
chemistry is insane, man. But you know what is meant is meant. You will align with the right people.
Exactly. I mean, we speak to each other regularly, like even now on WhatsApp. Now it's like we're always speaking to each other, and also kind of like everything that's going on, we're kind of like always dipping into our group chats and talking about different topics that have been like popping up on social media, on Twitter, or whatever, and kind of like devising ways to come up with new topics for episodes. But no, the relationship between me, Top A, and Tiffany is like amazing. They're amazing women, and
they really
it's just been a pleasure to work with them, and I've learned so much from them. It's been an absolute joy. Like those two women, like they bring joy to my life.
And that's what it's about. It's having those people in your life that bring joy to your life and bring out the best in you, man.
Yeah, and
that's what it's about right now. There's no other time
than
now to have that. You know what I mean? Because if you ain't got that now, then I don't know where it's gone. Because the way these things are happening right now, man. You know, I saw a little something today saying that Boris Johnson is saying that he's going to do more restrictions or something, or the second wave, or I don't know. I'm just like, oh gosh, can we just be happy, please? Can we just enjoy it? Like the other day, I was on the way to my workshop, and there's this little girl on the train, and she was just giving me life. You know, she was the only one that wasn't covering up her face and that, and she was just joyful and just being a child. And I was just like, can everyone else be like this, please? Can we just be happy, please? You know, like, oh gosh, it's just, this life is given to us, and it just feels like with all of this fear and all of this stuff that's happening right now, it's like it's taken away that enjoyment that we should have for our lives, because it's like,
I know,
we really don't know when it can be taken from us. Do you get what I mean? And if we're there just embodying this whole energy of like negative, like not negative, but just like not wanting to just expand and be a butterfly. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's the point? Why are you here then?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Why are you here? Like, you might, you know what I mean? That I just, it's,
well, even small things like
there's always something happening in the world, regardless of whatever they're trying to put to you now. There's always something happening. So it's like, why now just stop, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think even small things like I'm not really that comfortable going on transport, but I'm riding on my bike quite a lot. And even riding my bike outside of my local area, it's just like, it's almost like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulder, because all I've seen for the last like 6-7 months is just my local area. And I'm just like, I just wanna, and you know, it's actually been okay, because I've seen a lot of my friends that live locally, so like I'm seeing people, I'm out, I'm doing whatever. But it was just
socially distancing, of course.
Yeah, of course,
yeah.
But just being outside of just my local bubble, it's just even that, I literally feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulder. And it's just amazing that even though I'm allowed outside, not being able to go as far as I want to go still kind of has a physical manifestation on the body.
I'm telling you, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. So now when Boris Johnson is saying, oh, we're going to place some even stricter kind of restrictions, I'm just a bit like, ugh. Really?
And the evidence that's out there already of what that can do to people psychologically and physically, like you just said, It's just like, what is this game that is being played right now? Why are you trying to actually damage people's lives? And we're just about
Exactly.
to go into winter as well. So most of us
Exactly.
would want to be indoors, but
Yeah.
we still have to get outside. We still have to, breathe in that air, even if it is cold and you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But you still got to breathe it. you know?
Exactly. And
It's
no
just,
one's got like the privilege to like go and do yoga every day, or go into the park. And some people have got a like disability, they can't
this is
leave the
it.
house as much.
This is it.
Some people are living on their own. Like there are so many
Mm,
people that kind of like need help and don't have the certain privileges that you and I do.
this is it.
And now you're telling them you need to stay at home
It's
for another, like,
heartbreaking,
do you know what I mean?
heartbreaking. One of my she's like a grandma to me, and when this stuff all started, I went to her house, and she was a bit bewildered because she didn't really recognize who I was, and then she clocked who I was, because she's at that sort of age now, and she was just so beside herself. She's like, I haven't seen my kids for so long. They won't come in the house. People have been dropping things at the door, and and I'm just thinking, this is gonna kill you. Like, in my head, I was thinking, this is good, because even though she's very old, she's active. She goes down to the little supermarket and all of these little things. It enables your well-being, for you to feel happy and joyful, and to keep your immune system up. But it's like, once you're then having to stay in your house, you can't do your usual little stuff. That's because you're just, your immune system is just going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. So then if you do ever go outside, then you might then be more prone to getting something than you would have been before. So I'm just
it's
like, it's so terrible.
it's I know people keep on saying it's unprecedented, and I'm really sick of that word, but it's just amazing. Like, look where we are now. We can't leave the house.
Mm.
Big UK.
This is
Big
across the
big
world, though. Well, not every
no
country's doing this, but
big.
it's
But
predominantly, most of the world are going through this right now.
yeah, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
But it would be here, though. That's the thing. It would be here. It would be here. Of course, it would be here. But you know, I just want to see what is going to happen. Because if this is, if people are just going to literally take this laying down, like, and I doubt it, because yesterday they had a massive protest in Trafalgar Square, which I didn't know about, which I'm very annoyed that I didn't know about. But and they were they were doing the protest against the vaccines and all of this sort of stuff. But I just want to see what's going to happen, because I just personally don't feel that we should allow our freedoms to be taken away from us, because I feel that we should have the choice in what we choose to do, because of the statistics not being accurate to who actually has COVID-19 and how people are being diagnosed wrongly, and all of those sort of factors that are in play. If those things were not there, then I wouldn't have any issue with them trying to protect our health. But I feel that it's
Mm,
actually trying to destroy our health. It's actually trying to
it's
separate us and have us back to this, what we was talking about, how in this digital world, in this digital age, where we're trying to get a connection, but it's not a real connection, because it's not in the physical. Do you get what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. I mean, like, I get why people left the country once the restrictions got lifted, and people were going to Greece and whatever and doing, like, of course people are gonna want to leave their homes and leave the country
Of
and go on
course, they've
holiday
been
and
in
do whatever.
quarantine for how long?
Exactly. Like, if you're going to keep us, we're not meant to be caged up. So when we're
Mhm.
caged up for 6 months,
Mhm.
and then you
Mhm.
say, okay, restrictions are lifted,
Mhm.
and then you don't give us any kind of like rules around how we should behave outside,
Mhm.
of course people are going to do whatever they want. And you know what?
Mhm.
I'm not gonna blame people for doing what they feel that they want to do,
Mm.
because we have a government
Mm.
that isn't giving us accurate numbers.
Mhm.
Hasn't really managed this whole COVID-19
Mhm. Hasn't
quarantine
even made sense.
procedure. Like,
What
none of it has made,
Boris Johnson has
literally.
not made any fucking sense of what he's been
It's not
talking
made
about.
sense. So when you're governing a country, and nothing that you make sense, nothing that you say makes sense. Nothing's kind of like set in stone. Everything is like, nothing is there's no structure. It's not
Mm-hmm.
don't go outside. It's don't go outside. But if it's XYZ, then you are. But and then when you go outside, you can go wherever you want. But XY, it's like it's. I know it's hard,
I
but
just don't get it.
it's
I don't
just.
understand how being just around six people makes any difference from when I'm on the bus and there's so many people on the bus and we're all near each other and we're all in the same air and everything. Like, I've been on buses in this time where the buses are full up and like
And you're
we're
not.
in
The
COVID
buses
9,
aren't supposed.
but
The
people are
buses
still
aren't.
doing it. They're
The
still doing
buses
it.
aren't supposed to be
But they're
full.
doing it. They're still
And
doing it. People
if
were
there
all
was.
standing up. People, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, I'm literally like, we're breathing on each other right now. And this is meant to be a pandemic. And if this thing was, you know, I would have caught it by now, and I haven't. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I feel like it's the individual. It's if your immune system is weak or whatever. Just like you were saying, you know that you have asthma, so you've been looking after yourself and making sure that you quarantine for a long. You know, I feel like that's how it should be. It shouldn't be those that have a really good immune system, they're really healthy, but you still can't go nowhere. Like, it don't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that the government has that right to take away people's choices. Do you know what I mean? Especially if their health is not going to damage anyone else's health. Do you see what I mean?
No, I get you. I get you. I mean, the government just hasn't been very clear about anything over the
Yeah.
last year. So it's no surprise that people are doing whatever they want because
Mm,
at times like this, you look to the government for clear guidance and instructions.
mm-hmm.
And when you've got a government that halfway through the pandemic decides to change the way that they're going to show figures,
Mm-hmm.
it's like how do you trust that government? How do you trust the government that tells you one thing, but then MPs are doing the opposite? Stay in
Mm-hmm.
your homes,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
MPs are driving to their girlfriend's house, like half away across the country to have sex. And then he's saying, "Oh, I did what I felt was right." So if you're doing what you felt was right, driving halfway across the country, peak pandemic, what do you think other people are going to
He
be
needed
doing?
his ting boy. He needed to get the go walk. He was. I mean, when they're telling us about, "Well, you can't have sex, you can't." Like, nah, was that a
You're telling
meme?
human
Was that
beings.
a joke? Well, I don't. I know, but I don't. Was I still to this day don't know if it was just people putting that around online or if that was actually came from the government. Do
I
you
don't
know?
know. I don't know. And do you know what? To be honest, since June, so when everything happened with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd
Mm,
happened at the end of May, it was just a bit too much for me,
mm,
and I took a month off social media.
mm,
Um, well, I took a month from the internet by and large because I wasn't working,
mm,
and since then, like obviously I've gone back to social media,
mm,
but I just haven't watched the news since.
So you used to
And
watch the news a lot.
I used to watch the news a lot. I used to look at multiple kind of like the major news websites, read all the latest articles. If like the BBC had written an article about something, I'd go on different news sources to see like different opinions about it rather than just going by that news source.
Mm,
Um, but I've just stopped doing that now because it's just all too much.
I'm
And
so
to be
happy for you that
honest,
you stopped.
like I'm gonna see it somewhere on my news feed.
Mm,
Someone's gonna say it in a group chat. My partner's
mm,
gonna come home and talk to me about it anyway.
mm,
So
mm,
I'm
mm,
gonna get that information.
mm-hmm.
Like I knew that there was gonna be like harsher restrictions later on down the line, but
I
I
knew
didn't
it,
know
yeah.
through like BBC News or anything. I knew because like a couple of people in my group chats told me about it, and my partner
Oh.
came home and told me about it. So I
Mm,
mean, getting the news,
mm-hmm.
but just having all of that, there's just too much information in front of me, and a
Mm,
big part of why social media in general impacted my mental health quite a lot a few years ago was because there's just too many voices, too many people have got so many things to
mm,
say,
mm,
so many opinions.
mm-hmm.
Um, like black outrage. Everyone's talking about this thing that they're offended with, and everyone's got their views and opinions. And then the news gets hold of it, and they're saying, "Oh, but look at what black people are talking about now. They're talking about this backlash. There's so much noise." And then mix that with COVID and news updates.
It was insane.
The death ticker getting higher and the cases ticker getting higher, and there's just too much noise. And when there's too much noise, I can't really hear myself think. So I have to like back away from everything, which is why I kind of take social media breaks quite regularly, and like I look through my Twitter feed and lists. So I have like a top 20 people that only I can see their tweets and no one else.
Okay.
And obviously I don't like watch the news or read any of the news online, because I'm getting that anyway as like secondary information. So I'm not being hit by news articles and then going through the rabbit hole of clicking on the next news article and the next one. And 45 minutes later, I'm depressed because from my perspective of looking at the news, everyone's dying from COVID-19.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But when you go outside, it's not happening.
Yeah, when you go outside, everything's hunky dory.
You get what I mean? And that's where we need to get to, is back to reality, man. Back to the reality of what is really going on. Because if it really was as bad as they say it is, we would all be dropping down dead. That's literally what would be happening. And no, but it's true. If it really was something that was that critical, we would all be dropping down like flies. Do you see what I mean? And it's not happening in that. It's not happening like that. You know, there's been people that have got coronavirus and they've recovered. You know, so the way that they're portraying it is not, you know what I mean? It's not the way that is legitimate to me at the end of the day. And
I think it's because it's a global pandemic now, and we haven't had this
ever.
We haven't had this ever, and you know, people are dying.
Yeah.
And it's just it's the sheer scale of it, and the fact that the system that we buy into, and the system that governs us, a small virus can just dash it.
Yeah, but they're the ones that never put their money in the NHS in the first place before this. This is why they can't handle it, is because they haven't got the resources, and they have. Do you see what I mean? So it's like you can't then make us feel bad for the fact that you've done a shit job, and that even through this pandemic, that they haven't even given these people a pay rise. Like,
but that's capitalism.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? Capitalism is going to save the people that action it, and it's going to get rid of the people at the bottom who try to oppose it or who are the most marginalized. So it is what it is. But I think it's just ironic that this whole system that we buy into and governs us is just being, it's kind of like the veil has been lifted.
It has.
And we're seeing everything for what it is.
It has.
And even the people at the top are seeing it for what it is, and knows that we see it for what it is. And there's going to be a very harsh meeting of the middles.
And this is why I said on Black Canvas as well, that's why I didn't vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is the shit that these people go on with.
And I totally understand that, and I totally get that. And, you know, like I said before, like, I know you're doing things that are helping our community. And I just believe, like, whether you vote or don't vote, as long as you're active, when you are doing things in your local community to help people, then I'm down with that.
That's it. Because I don't know where we're going to, but I don't really like where we're going to be honest with you. I don't like where this government's trying to take us to at all.
It's not. It's crazy, and it's funny because it's impacting everyone. Like
every single person.
Everyone. Obviously, it's really impacting the most marginalized people. So, you know, black and brown people, you know, we're getting it the worst. But
what do you mean we're getting it the worst? The worst of them saying that we're more prone to it, or the worst of...
Not that we're more prone to it, because we're not, because that's madness.
Yeah, of course.
But you know, we represent a large quantity of like the working class and the
Yeah.
lowest paid
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and we represent a large part of the NHS.
Mhm.
So for black and brown people, we're getting it the worst,
Mhm.
and now like the government are like realizing it's not just black and brown people, it's everyone, and it's because everyone is being impacted by it. They're working really hard to try and get things done. They're really working hard to try and save themselves because they know that they can get got at any time. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I hope so. I hope so. But I don't know. I don't know. The way that we're going about it, I feel is a bit too. I don't know. It's because you said that if we're gonna come for them or whatever, but I don't feel that we really are, because I went to some of the protests and I wasn't happy with what I saw. I wasn't happy. This was prior to when the EDF went down there against Respect and all of those peeps, like before that. But it was just the protesters didn't seem like people had any sort of direction of what they were doing. They were just following what they saw in America. Like, if we really knew our power, we would actually be dangerous. Do you see what I mean? But just to be so compliant and polite about it all, and you're just reciting a slogan, and then you're just standing there outside the house 10 Downing Street, and you're just all standing there and no one knows what to do or say. And like, I'm just like, what the hell is this? What is this, a parade? Do you get? I was fuming. I was like, no, this is not a protest. This is not.
I mean, Basaya Twins, who was on the episode of Black Canvas that you were on, I think she said it best in that episode, and I think on other platforms she said it's going to take revolutionary action.
Yeah.
Like going out and protesting is fine. Like go out and protest.
Of course, that's fine. But we've done it before, and it ain't got us nowhere.
No, we're not gonna. We're not going to break down systems. We're not going to win hearts and minds with the same things that we did before. Yep. It's going to take revolutionary action.
Evolution of our minds, ourselves, just like you were saying, for us to be still, for us to connect with spirit, for us to truly know what matters, and then for us to evolve in ourselves, and then evolve in the actions that we do in the world that we live in. That is for me personally, that is the only way. I am so tired of people just doing the same old. I personally feel, especially those that are, immigrants to this country or whatever, I feel like we need to really remember our roots and actually go back to where we need to be, and give our time and our energy in spaces where we can actually be appreciated and not treated as if we're not the majority of the world when we are. Do you get what I mean? Like, I feel like the capitalist mind state that we all came, or our family members came here, or whatever came here with, I feel like that whole thing has kind of like it's disappearing. That sense of value or worth doesn't actually just come from money anymore. Do you get what I mean? And I think I don't know. For me personally, that's where I'm moving towards. I'm detaching myself away from the things that this has been going on for about 3 years for me anyway. Like, I'm really not the person I used to be with, like, even just clothes and all of that. I just don't care. It's got to a point where, like, my little sister has to tell me about myself, because I just don't care about those things anymore. Like, it doesn't define me. It's just so I can wear it to get down the road. But it's not like I have to have this and it has to look this way and I've got to be dripping. And I just don't care. I care more so about what am I doing with my life? What am I taking in? What content? What am I eating? Like, I don't really care about. Do you know what I mean? Like, those sort of things.
I'm the same as well. I haven't bought any clothes in about 3 years.
Really? Okay, I haven't taken it that far, but yeah.
But what I have done is I've gotten rid of a lot of my wardrobe. I've gotten rid of most of my wardrobe, and I've kind of identified the things that I need, and I basically invested in like quality products that are going to last long.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got your separates like t-shirt and underwear and stuff that you buy regularly.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Like I've got a certain amount of trousers, a certain amount of shirts, a certain amount of shorts, like a few jackets, and I've bought them to last, and I've bought them high quality to last. And I think it's only now that I'm going to start investing in a few more pieces.
Yeah.
But because I don't have to wake up in the morning and be like, oh, what am I going to wear today?
Yeah.
It's done something to my mindset where, because I've worked in fashion for a while, so I know how to look good.
You always look good. What are you talking about? Ain't nobody coming for you.
So do you know, the clothes that I've bought, they're quite stylish, but they're very simple. So I don't need to worry about what I'm wearing when I leave the house. I can just put on shirt, t-shirt, trousers, shoes, done. And over the last like 2 years, like just not having to focus about how I look on the outside for other people and what I'm going to wear, or constantly going on ASOS and looking for things and getting the emails on new in sale, blah blah blah. Like all of those distractions have gone, and I'm able to focus on the things that matter.
I'm telling you,
and that's no shade to anyone that loves it.
No,
If you love going on ASOS at the end of the month when you get paid and you spend £200 on ASOS and you are dripping and drip and you look good, that is all. If that is good for you, then do what you need to do to be happy. But for me, that's not where I find my joy. And it's funny because my partner, he works in retail.
Okay.
And so I'm looking at the wardrobe now. He's got a triple wardrobe filled with clothes. And I've just got a chest of drawers. and it's funny because like he loves it. Like he's always worked in retail, so he always gets discounts on clothes. So he's always buying clothes from where he works, and he gets them at a discount. So he's like, why am I not going to buy the clothes?
Yeah, exactly. Take advantage of it. No, I hear that. You see, when you've got those opportunities, don't ever turn down those opportunities.
Yeah,
you take that.
Exactly, and the places where he's worked before, he can still get discount from them.
Is
so
that,
why not?
What? Wow, he was a good worker then, isn't it? Jeez.
So, like, and obviously he has to wear the clothes to like show off the brand or whatever. So like he very much like he loves to buy like new clothes and stuff, and he's quite colourful and stylish as well. Like everything in his wardrobe is colour, whereas mine is kind of like it's basically black and white.
But that's beautiful. Obviously, it's attractive, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to ask you about your, being a black gay man and what your experiences were coming out, because you come from a different time than from now, where it's more acceptable. You're I think you're a bit older than me. But
I'm 38 now, so but yeah, coming out was, for me, the actual coming out was fine. I was like, I knew I was queer, and I just came out, like I burst out the closet. But everything around me was like, oh, you're not allowed to be gay. Basically, you are not allowed to be gay, and none of this is happening in this house.
Oh.
Like, this is the house of God. But I was just like, but because my parents had brought me up, so I was brought up in a Trinidadian house.
Okay.
Very much like blackety black. Like, very Pan-African. I went to a Pan-African Saturday school every Saturday until I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah. so like we were a traditional like West Indian family, and like none of the gay stuff, the trans stuff. If it was cishet normative, that's the way it went. But because I burst out of the closet, it was just a bit much for everyone. So I didn't even though I burst out the closet, and like I was going out into Soho when I was like 15 years old.
I know them
going to bars and clubs.
Yeah,
so.
Trust. I was 16 when I went to heaven for the first time.
Right. So
because they weren't hot on ID back then. That's why. But anyway, carry on.
But yeah, so I wasn't allowed to kind of express myself in that sort of way. So there was a lot of arguing. There was a lot of animosity that I had towards my parents, and like looking back on it now, like I get it. Like it was like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like black people weren't about
It was a different world back then, I tell you.
It was different. And like for me, like growing up as a teenager, like how it was, like the atmosphere on the street was like, if you made it up to,
Yeah, carry on.
can you hear me?
Yeah, it paused for a minute. I don't know why, but carry on.
But no, I like I found my family when I exploded onto the scene. So I I was going into bars in Soho, and um, a trans woman called Sarisa and her friend Mark. She's a black trans woman, and Mark was black mixed race. And they would always go out together, and they would always see me, and they were like, "This boy is too young to be out. Let me just go and see what this boy is all about." And they'd be like, "Oh, so what are you doing? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just out, blah, blah, blah." And it's like, "You're too young to be out. You need to go home." So they would send me home, but then the following weekend, I'll be out again. So they're like, "You know what? You just stay with us and stop your gallivanting, because, you know, there are predators out there." And I was going to bars where there were some bars that are actually quite seedy, looking back on it. And I was there, like, living it up, like, "Oh, this is me," and not realizing my surroundings, which you don't when you're that age. So, like, they kind of took me under their wing, and
oh, that's so beautiful.
they had, like, I built my friendship group around them, and that they taught me about, like, they taught me about my blackness as much as my parents did as well. But then they taught me about, like, my queer blackness as well. And they took me all of the well, a lot of the black clubs were kind of dying out back then, but they took me to the ones that were remaining. They took me to, like, all of the clubs that had, like, R&B rooms. They took me to Heaven. They took me to, like, Pop Stars, and then Bootylicious came around. So oh my god, yeah. So they very much taught me about not just my blackness, but my queer blackness as well. And so I was really surrounded by that love, not just from like queer and trans people that were around me, but from, like, black, queer and trans people as well. So I had that kind of, like, balming over me, like, when I was coming out and, like, getting my bearings on the scene and coming into, like, my out of my formative years and into my 20s. So coming out was a lot, but I had support, and I don't know where I would have been without that support.
Oh, give thanks.
So yeah, I give thanks for that. But even now, my relationship with my parents, it isn't as great as it could be. But so for about 6 years, I didn't speak to my parents at all, because they were just totally like,
wow.
They were anti-gay. They were homophobic. They were homophobic,
and you had to protect yourself. Yeah, you had to protect yourself.
I had to protect myself. But I think it wasn't until I kind of got into my late 20s, and again, this kind of matches up to, like, my awakening to spirit and the connection to myself. I started having dreams, just random dreams about my parents, random dreams about, like, my brothers and sisters and family, like reoccurring dreams, or like different events that were happening. But I was always just having dreams about family. And I was like, no, something is telling me to, like, go back to my family and speak to my family. So after, I'd say about 6, maybe 7 years, I kind of reconnected, like, with my parents. And ever since then, I've kind of felt a bit more whole, because even though I needed to get away from my parents to be myself, I went down kind of a slippery road, and I needed to get back out of it. And at that time, like, Sarisa and Mark had passed away, so they were a lot older than I was when I first met them. They passed away when I was about 26, 27, and it wasn't until I was about 28. There was, like, a big hole in my life, and there was a big void, and it just needed to be filled, and I needed to kind of feel a bit whole again. And so I kind of reconnected with my family, and it's been a lot better now. But they still don't accept, like, my sexuality. They still don't accept, like, my partner. They haven't accepted any of my partners. There's still always going to be that gap, that void that I'm not going to get from them. But I know that they love me, and that's all that I need. And I'm an adult now, so, like, I don't need I don't need validation from them
This is it.
or
Yeah.
acceptance from them. I'm not looking for acceptance or validation from anyone, because I lived most of my 20s surviving by myself and providing for myself. I didn't have the luxury to fall back on parents. So because of that, I don't really feel that I need acceptance or validation from them. All I need to know from them is that, do you love me? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We're good. And by realizing that and just holding on to that, that's provided me with so much joy, and it's allowed me to enjoy the relationship that I do have with my parents, even though it's not like the best relationship that I would want. Like my partner's relationship with his family is amazing. So like I told you before, like his two uncles are gay and they've been together for 40 years. So he's always had that representation at home. And they actually took him under his wing when he came out and took him onto the gay scene. And he's always had that stability. And his parents have always been fine with him being gay. His whole family is supportive for him as well. And actually being with him, I've kind of had that support as well. So the support that I didn't get from my family in terms of like my queerness, I get from his family. So there is kind of a filling of that void. It's not filled the way I would like it to be, but I've got love no matter what, and that's all that matters to me.
It's true, and it's accepting that, you know, you can't change people.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if that's what they believe, then you have to let them believe it. But you know what you know, and you're living with good intent at the end of the day, you know. And I feel like, especially back in those sort of times, you know, like you were saying, it was a completely different world for a black person to say that you're gay. You know what I mean? It's a big thing.
I didn't have any cishet friends until I was 30.
Really?
And the only reason why I had cishet friends afterwards is because, again, I had that like reawakening of connection of spirit and kind of getting more into doing things for my community and being a bit more active and being a bit more loud. And the only way to do that and actually be part of a community is to have conversations with people that aren't living your same lifestyle.
Exactly.
So I kind of made connections with people that weren't gay or weren't trans, and I built friendship groups around that. And they're predominantly black women, because cishet black men have got a way to go.
Very.
But, you know,
say that again. You know what I mean?
But no, like you said, like back then, like it wasn't cool to be black and gay, and because of that, all of my black friends were either queer or trans. None of them were straight. But it was only till like kind of like sentiments have changed and like people realize that we're not all going to get out of this until we all accept each other.
Yeah.
Like that sort of sentiment sort of kind of building around 2011, 2012.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And it's only since then that I've kind of engaged more with cishet people. So yeah.
I remember saying as well to people like a few years now, I don't even know how long it was, but I remember there was like a status I had on my Facebook, and I was saying like, just because I'm gay doesn't mean all my life is gay. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean everything I do, all my friends, everything. Because I feel like, you know, you do have that beginning stage because, you know, you just come out, it's all exciting, and, you know, how it was back then, like, you know, being gay was like, you know, you really was the only gay in the village sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you would kind of attach to those sort of connections with those people because they could really relate to you. But as you get more comfortable and you grow as a person, you're like, actually, I can be in any space that I want because my sexual orientation is like the most smallest part of my life.
Exactly.
Do you get what I mean?
And you're entitled to be in those spaces as well. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, a lot of people, I get it. A lot of people say, like, I don't really go into, like, bars and clubs because I don't really feel, like, accepted. And, like, for me, it's like, especially, like, from Hackney, like, all of these bars and clubs that are opening up, like, I was here before all of those places. So now you're doing your cute gentrification. Your coffee place, your bar, your pub, your club, trust and believe I'm going to be there. I'm
You
going to
better
show my
be.
face. I don't care if I'm the only black person there. I was here before you. I'm going to drink my Aperol spritz. Do you know? I'm entitled
You
to the
stand your
space.
ground, yeah.
I'm entitled to the space as much as anyone
No,
else.
it's true. It's
And
true.
it's yeah.
It's true. It's true. Why not? It's
Exactly.
a new dawn, it's a new day. You get what I mean? We've worked hard, like everything that we've done in our individual lives and how we've expressed ourselves and how we're true to ourselves. Like we've worked hard to be where we are today. So if you want to go and sit in that bar, you're going to go sit in that bar. You know what I mean? It's been a long road. You need to sit down and rest your foot a bit. You know what I mean?
It's hilarious. It's like, it's just so weird how the city has changed and like gentrification.
Oh,
and
it gets on my last nerve, you know, because I've seen actually going back to this whole this thing that we're all going through, COVID-19. It's interesting because it's like with how they've been regulating how we should be interacting with each other and stuff. It's so interesting to see that in the predominantly gentrified areas in the parks, there's no police, there's no beef, there's no nothing. But in the black area where there's mostly black people at the park, like there was an incident that happened where this guy was playing music, who's DJing. Everyone was sitting separate. No one was like interacting, nothing like that. But we were all sitting near the music because everyone wanted to hear music. I think this was just after we were all allowed to go back outside again, and not just to do exercise. And then the police came. There was like 2 that came, and then they got sent away. Then 4 came. They got sent away. Then 6 came. Then they got sent away. Then they sent vans. Like there was about 4 vans, and there was all these police walking up this hill just to take this guy's PA system. And it was mad because people from across the park were all running from all different colours, different races, and they were all standing up against people because no one was doing anything wrong. But when it was in the white area, they didn't do that. When Babylon Chantdown was going on in Hilly Fields, the police came. The organisers spoke to them and stuff, and then they got sent away, and they never came back. They didn't shut it down, nothing. So I'm like, hold on a second. You know, we're seeing that even in this pandemic, that they don't care about us because they've, you know what I mean? They've gentrified our own areas. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It's wild because they've gentrified the areas, and they make you feel like there's no crime. But for me, that has lived in London all my life, like I know the crimes are still happening. You can cover Hackney with all of your new builds and all of your
trust me, Hackney's like a different place, man.
Oof, child. You can cover it up with your cafes that have avocado toast for £10.
Listen. Even in Brighton, they're going on like that. I had to cuss this girl. You know, I was like, I don't know why you brought me the most smallest plate of food. And I was saying to my friend as well, I was like, I don't even know. They didn't even season it. It's just tomato. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, no, but carry on.
But trust and believe. You can cover it up, but the crime is still happening. Like I've moved out of Hackney now. I'm like, me and my partner live in Walthamstow.
Oh, okay. But, Walthamstow's nice. That's even changed a lot though as well.
It has, and it's changing a lot. But but we were living in Dalston prior to moving, and we were there for 2 years in that flat, just almost 2 years. And from when we moved in to from when we left, that whole part of Dalston changed significantly, and it would already been changed already. But me being me, knowing this area prior to gentrification, I can spot when something is happening, and you know, crime was happening around us. But for some reason, when I'm going out and like I'm out enjoying myself and I'm going to bars and restaurants in the area, and I'm hearing people say, "Oh, the area's changing. It's there's so many good things going on. You can do yoga and whatever." Blah, blah, blah.
Oh my god, they get on my nerves.
but I know that they will say, "Oh, there's not a lot of crime." And I'm like, there's crime up and down this borough. It's just that you don't see it.
Exactly.
It may be pushed around the sides, but it's still happening. And even like my partner's white, and he's like, I can see, I can like he's from Liverpool, but he's lived in
Oh,
London since he was 18. So
okay.
he was living like in like Hackney and Highbury and Holloway like prior to gentrification, and
Mhm.
like he can see like the crime happening around, and
Yeah.
even he's getting annoyed by the gentrification as well.
Mm.
Like we both like came to the decision to move out of Hackney because it's getting too expensive,
Mhm.
and every time you go outside everything's changing, and
Mm.
it's not changing for the best.
Mhm.
So we're like, why don't we just spend a bit more money and get a bigger place
Mhm.
and enjoy our lives?
Yeah. Pretty much. Then
Yeah.
it seems like you are.
Yeah.
You know. Because I don't know, man. It's like that, even ever since this has happened, actually, a lot of people are considering moving outside of London now. Now that they're
For the
realizing
first
that,
time.
yeah, now that they're realizing that they don't have to go and commute to work and this and that, they're actually thinking, you know what, I want a garden. You know what,
Mm,
I want to be in an environment where it's not constant go, 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 go. Because where are we going,
yeah.
please? We can't go outside, so.
And a lot of us are sacrificing. We're sacrificing our history of our community for a
Mm,
better life for ourselves. And
yeah,
that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a
yeah,
good thing.
it's a great thing.
But like me, like living in London all my life, and like knowing the rich history of Hackney, the Black history of Hackney,
Mm.
like the Black Panther and Black Panther movements that
Mm,
were in Hackney,
mhm,
and that rich Black history, and that's kind of being like smudged and erased,
mm,
and then having to move away from that, knowing that history is there.
mhm,
It's that dichotomy of like I need to move away for like my mental health, wellness, and my bank balance, but also I don't want to move away from this place that has um, not just a deep history for me and my family, but
mm,
for my culture and my heritage.
mm.
Because my family have been in Hackney since the 40s,
Wow.
and I think I was the first to move out of Hackney, and then my sister. So my sister has bought a house in Kent.
Oh.
That's how much she can't afford to live in London.
Yeah, yeah.
The money that she's paying for her house in Kent, she's got a 3 bedroom semi-detached house.
Mhm.
She's not getting that in London.
Yeah, of course you don't. The prices
So
here are absolutely extortionate. It's insane, and all we're paying for, really and truly, is just the location, just the postcode. We're not
mm,
paying for the actual property itself, and the property is outside. Because I spent a lot of time outside of London. I moved out of London when I was 14 with
mm,
my family, so I've experienced a whole different side of reality that I never thought I would ever experience. Do you get what I mean?
mm,
And there are so many benefits to being in an environment like that, but the downfall, like you're saying, is you miss out on your actual your culture. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And you're put in these sort of environments where you're really dealing with the most racist people you've ever dealt with in your whole entire existence.
Trust and believe.
It is
Trust
a
and believe.
different world outside of London. Do you get
Like
what I mean?
we've like so my partner's family are from Liverpool. We go to Liverpool quite a lot, and
Mm.
I really like Liverpool. But
Really, I want
obviously,
to go there.
like it's a really nice city.
Mhm.
But I'm I wouldn't mind moving there. We're not ready to move out of London, but
Mm.
at the same time, I'm super conscious of racism outside of London
Mm.
and being so far removed from my culture.
Mm.
I just don't know
They
if
do have a
I can.
they do have a community there because
They do
obviously,
have a community there.
yeah, but it's
They've
not the
got a.
same.
It's not the same. They've got a community in Manchester,
But it's just
Liverpool,
never the same.
Birmingham, Leicester.
London
Um,
is London, okay?
Yeah, I think if I was to move out of London, I would need to do a lot of research on like the black communities and the cities that I would want to live in with my
Mm.
partner. But
Mm.
yeah, we're not at the point of wanting to leave London, and we're actually thinking of being quite drastic and moving into maybe like a really like like a tiny home or
Really?
like
Oh my
like,
god,
or
I
like
love
a
tiny
canal
homes.
boat
I
or
love them.
just something just like off grid.
Yes, 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 yes.
So we've been looking at big like narrow boats,
Wow.
and you can get a really really nice fitted out like narrow boat for a
Wow.
really really good price. And just the way that our mindsets are at the moment, we're very much like we both love London. We don't want to move outside of London,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we're both getting a bit frustrated with London life
Mm.
and the traveling and feeling like we need to be like live in like the city centre and the hustle and bustle and the
Mm.
fact that house prices are just going through the roof and everything is about money, 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 and
Mm.
everything is fast, fast, fast. I mean, we're still young, we're
Mm.
still active, but at the same time, there's just we're at a place in our lives where we both at the same time just need a bit of stillness and quiet.
Yeah, I'm at that stage too, mate. Don't you worry about that.
And yeah, kind of like moving into a smaller home, kind of like off grid, but
Mm.
still having access to London and the city
What a dream.
just sounds like an absolute dream. And it's like
Mm.
we probably wouldn't have to spend more than £50,000.
Exactly. And you would have such a better lifestyle than you would have now.
Exactly.
Do you get what I mean? This is what this life's about. And if it is one of those tiny homes that you can, you can get about with as well, you can get to see other parts of the world. You could travel around Europe. Do you get what I mean? You could
I know
experience things
there's
and you're still working because you've got your computer.
exactly.
Do you get what I mean? No one can come for
So
you.
yeah, so we've got loads of options for the future,
Mm.
but like those are the sort of things on the cards. Like we'd like to like buy a house somewhere, but
Mm-hmm.
there's also the stress of that, and
Mm.
we're trying to live with little to no stress.
Yeah.
And at these times, it's kind of hard to not live with stress. So if we can just change the environment that we live in
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis, on a long-term basis,
Yeah.
then yeah,
That is just so
we'd be happy with
fantastic.
that.
I wish you both so much success with that. It sounds like an absolute dream, to be honest with you. And you've done so much from what I've been able to hear in this podcast. And it's like, I think you deserve that, man. I think you deserve
Thank you. It's been a
to.
long conversation. I just realised how long we've been chatting for.
Yeah, and I think this is the point of actually where I'm gonna have to end it because it's gone so quickly without even realizing.
We had so much more to talk about as well. Maybe we'll chat again.
Yeah, maybe we'll chat again. Because I did want to touch on certain things, but no, I think what we have right now, I think it's great. It's great.
Thank you. No, I'm definitely open to having another conversation as well.
Thank you so much, and just thank you for wanting to be on this podcast. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this conversation. I've got to know you even more.
Thank you.
Which
It's been
is
a
great.
pleasure. And you as well. I've really enjoyed it.
Hello, I'm Chantel Gabriella Jazz, and you've just been listening to Conversations Need to Be Had. And if you like that episode, then please like this video and share it far and wide so people know what time it is and so we can help elevate the human consciousness to a higher level and having these really important conversations. If you would like to engage with us on social media, then feel free. We are on Twitter, Need to Be Had. We are also on Instagram, C.N.T.B.H. I just like them dots. I had to fill the dots. But anyway, or if you would like to engage with us through email because maybe you want to contribute or maybe you'd like to feature on this podcast, who knows, then please email us at needtobehad@gmail.com. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to this episode and stay tuned as we have so much more content to give you. Peace.